I will start out this episode by sharing a little phrase that my mom passed on to me earlier today. Maybe you are at a time and a place where you need to hear this beautiful, awful truth. Do you know why we have problems? To solve them. Boom. Mic drop. Or, well, not yet. I have to be able to afford and own a microphone to actually drop it. Because if you haven't been able to tell yet, the sound quality is actually awful and not podcast worthy at the moment. But if you stick around and I stick around, I promise you I will get a microphone. But until then, the lack of a piece of equipment will not stop me from talking. About my mom's life lesson phrase you just heard, I could not have said it better myself. Because you might have realized if you have been with me from the beginning, I do have a tendency to drag out explanations and analogies and long paragraphs, and she just went straight for the throat, on point. Guys, girls, and whoever made it this far, welcome back to Holographic Her. We have already started out pretty strong today, haven't we? So, my mom is in a wheelchair and paralyzed and brain damaged after a stroke. And when she shares such gems with me, I just have to listen up, soak it all in, and appreciate that I'm able to get such a heartwarming heads up. My mom definitely knows a thing or three about problems by now, and therefore has full permission to preach her knowledge when I'm bawling my eyes out. She is a living proof of how to make oneself a beautiful and amazing life, even though it seems like the whole world has fallen into pieces. My mom, she freaking rocks, honestly said. I also think I should rip the bandage off rather fast today, as I need you to feel seen straight away with this statement, as we have just got into a whole new month and it's not fun for everyone. Here it comes. Big girls do cry, especially about finances. Wow, we are really speaking with caps locks today. Whew, I really needed to get that one off my chest. So, Kosh, yeah, crying is not only for babies, guy who rests in their masculinity or pinky toe stumbles. Crying is for young, grown up ladies as you and I who are struggling with finances. I see myself as pretty tough, but talking about money has somehow always been a kryptonite to me, in the sense of being afraid to not have any and hitting the terrifying 0 euros on my bank account. And the fact is, I moved out when I was around 16, 17, and now I am close to 30. I'm still not perfect, but I have learned an immense amount of things about money since then, since back when I moved out from the very beginning. And all the things I have learned so far have helped me to change my perspective and take charge of whatever situation I'm in money wise. Am I still allowed to cry when I get a rental rise? Yes. Am I still allowed to cry when I drop my phone and have to buy a new one suddenly? Always. No matter how stable your finances might be, we can all be emotional and sensitive when it comes to talking about money or money in general. And I think it's about time to break the taboo and just put it out there. I am almost 30 and I don't have a stable income. I just said it. Yes, I don't have a stable income. And if you're the same, welcome to the club, honey. Seriously, I welcome you with open arms. Before I entered my 20s, I had the assumption that I would have my finances figured out by now. And I definitely thought I would have my finances figured out by the age of 22. I didn't. When I turned 22, I assumed that I was the only one freestyling from month to month, moving money forth and back from saving accounts until I didn't have a single dime left on the saving side. But you know what? I slowly start to find out by time that everyone, people both younger and older than me, struggle with finances, either always or from time to time. When I found out that I'm not the only one, I started to relax a bit more in my financial situation. It felt like some kind of approval saying, "You are not the only minion running around. Who's failing on being an adult? Because even adults can fail on adulting, apparently. And it's really comforting to know that it's truth. And now, when we are diving deeper and deeper into the conversation about money, do you know what's really important to mention here? You can struggle with your finances even though you don't spend money on expensive clothes and takeaway coffees. You can struggle with your budget even though you do all the right things because life happens. And let me repeat, you can still struggle with finances even though you are responsible. And that's the healthy mindset we are trying to adapt. It's doing more harm than good to punish yourself for not doing good enough, because I'm sure you're doing your very best with what you have. Money are like waves. Sometimes they go up and sometimes they go down. You know what goes up and down as well? Stocks. And don't hit the snooze button just yet. This will not turn into a whole corporate world 101 how to invest lesson conversation. Not at all. But I will do a huge shout out to a company that made me claim a major amount of self esteem by joining their online platform called Female Invest. And if you haven't heard about it yet, it's a company ruled by women, all with financial backgrounds, who has created this amazing community where they teach women step by step how to take charge of their financial situations. They update you on the stock market, they have monthly webinars about everything from how to handle retirement savings, investing, monthly budgets, and financial freedom, taxes. It's honestly so good. They have changed the narrative about money completely. Instead of making money something to fear, they help nudge and guide you to make money your bitch and not the other way around. And it might sound crazy, but being taught the language of money gives you some kind of confidence. Speaking for myself, as I grew up, no one ever told me how to do taxes or budgeting, and definitely not how to invest in stocks. And not knowing is what creates the fear, in my opinion. Control freak alert. Just like when you're seeing a guy, but you're not exclusive. And he's a little bit shady and hard to predict. So every time he goes out, you have a weird feeling in your stomach because you're not sure whether you can trust him or not. And you can't really figure out what does he really mean when he texts this and this and this, and why does he text some hearts now and then and suddenly he goes cold. When you don't understand the language, it can freak you out. But when it comes to all the investing, I'm not telling you that if you go out and invest all of your money, that will solve your problems. Not at all. I joined this community myself last year and have still not tried to buy stocks yet. It's on my to do list for the year of 24. What I'm trying to say is this platform can teach you all kind of things about money and all the things we didn't learn in school that we actually need to know something about because we don't want to be victims when it comes to money. And I highly recommend you to check it out. And if you don't feel like joining the community, they also have written some amazing books. Welcome back to the book club. But yeah, maybe you have heard about them. One of them is called Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and the other one is called Girls Just Want to Have Impact. And this is, by the way, not an ad. I'm not getting paid for saying any of this. This is genuinely just one thing that have made me much more calm when it comes to money. But let's put Litmus cheerful sunshine here aside for a few minutes. Because, as you know, with this podcast, it's through failing we end up succeeding. But failing and facing hard truths is a crucial and important steps towards growth. And no one will appreciate my next piece of advice. I know I certainly did not like this advice myself, but I dare you to open up your bank account and type down every single transaction you made last month. Every single one. Even if it was just a single bottle of water you bought, type it down. But before you start to type all your transactions down on a piece of paper, Find a piece of paper, by the way, and a pen, and make a few boxes with categories that make sense to your life. As an example, I divided a piece of paper into boxes called expenses I can't avoid, being like rent, electricity, phone bill, insurances, and all the fixed bills I have each month. Then I called one food and survival, and I called one transfer, and I called one gifts, and I called one going out, and so on. And then you start to share out all of your expenses from your last month to get an overview of where your money went exactly. So this is a little fun. No, this is a fun. Stop saying fun. This is a little bit. This is a terrifying exercise that will give you some clarity. And have a pack of tissues ready. I was crying so hard when I did this myself, but taking charge and doing the hard thing is the growth zone. Remember that. As they say, tears clear the way for a brighter side. Sorry. And as I mentioned, when I did this little exercise, it was such an eye opening experience. And I found out where most of my money went. In my case, it was cigarettes and energy drinks. And I immediately saw an expense that I could have saved so much money on. Don't ever calculate backwards to see how much money you have wasted. That's a terrible thing to do. Even more terrible than this. Um, and if I had just been aware earlier, I could have saved so much money. But we do not have time machines. So instead of punishing myself and feeling guilt, I had visualized exactly where I could gain extra money the upcoming month by cutting down on cigarettes and energy drinks. Was it fun? No. Was it tough? Extremely. Very, very tough. But breaking habits are never fun in the beginning. But changing the narrative from being something horrible to, hey, this is a good change, can actually help your brain adapting. As an example, when I went cold turkey on energy drinks and cigarettes, instead of telling myself how much I wanted and needed my stimulants, stimulants, oh my gosh, um, every time I didn't have a sip of energy drinks and every time I didn't take a cigarette, I just in my brain told myself, oh, my skin is getting more clear, my bloating is minimizing, I could breathe deeper and deeper every time I didn't smoke a cigarette. And honestly, every time I skipped one of my bad habits, it just felt like winning the lottery somehow, and it made it so much easier. Instead of feeling a deep loss every time I said no to one of these expenses I had, instead of feeling a deep loss every time I said no, I now had a win every time I said no. I changed the narrative from being a victim to taking charge of what I truly wanted to spend my money on. And it's definitely not spending all my salary on cigarettes. There's so much other things I would like to spend my money on. Um, but I don't judge anyone who are smoking. I was a smoker for 8 years, so you do you, and I'm not judging at all. But yeah, writing down all your expenses can give you a bird's eye view of your finances and make you question, is this how I like to prioritize my money? It is a great exercise. Even if the highest sum of your salary goes to bills that are fixed, like rent, insurance, etc., that's also things you can make small adjustments to. Once again, are the adjustments fun to make? No. But ask yourself, is it fun going to bed each night with a pit in your stomach due to financial worries? No, that's not fun either, so you better just make the change. None of the solution feels nice, but facing your current reality can be the first step towards a whole new story. A story where you break free from these intense feelings of fear and guilt about money. But back to the fixed expenses like rent, gas, water, and so on, because I have a little bit of a story to tell you. And it will teach you how much money you can actually save with a little bit of awareness. A few years ago, I had taken the hard decision to move back to Scandinavia after living abroad, and it was not the only hard decision here. I was also broke and unemployed, so I had to move in with my brother and his foster dad, who became my chosen dad later on. I love him to bits, but yeah. I was sleeping in his daughter's princess themed bunk bed. She was 5 years old back then. And the bed was half of my length, so I'm 5'8" and had to crumple myself together every time I went to bed. But I do not complain. I had a bed and a roof upon my head, and for that I am forever grateful. In exchange for the hospitality, I was doing everything I could to help the household. I cleaned, went food shopping, and did everything I could to help out on a daily, as if I was an au pair. Later on, I was offered to move in with his girlfriend instead and her kids, which I accepted as she was living in my hometown and my brother was living in the other end of the country. So, same story. So, I was invited into the family, and while I was unemployed, once again, in exchange, at his girlfriend's house, I did everything I could to help out the household. I'm dead serious about this. If you end up moving back home, living with your parents, or have to crash at a sofa somewhere, you do not take it for granted by sitting around doing nothing all day. You are doing the best you can to make their life as easy as possible while you collect the crumbling pieces of your own life. If someone offers you a place to stay and maybe even food to eat while you figure out your life and financial situation, you better be the best guest they have ever had, okay? Is this a promise you and I can make? So it is also a great plan B if you make yourself so priceless, scrubbing toilets and doing laundries, that they might offer you a position as a maid. It's better than making a feed finder account, I guess, right? But yeah, what I want to say, there's no shaming starting all over. But we have to be honest and nice people while we are doing so. We don't want to step on anyone who's helping us or misuse their kindness. Oh yeah, back to my story. So when I finally got myself a job and found myself a flat, hooray! I had to clean all of my dishes by hand again, as I did not have a dishwasher in my new flat. But at least I didn't have to share my shower or washing machine with anyone but me. Heaven! Yeah, it all backfired financially. Because at the end of the year, I got a statement of how much water I have used in my flat. And keep in mind, I paid 46 euros each month as the estimated use of a water by a single resident. This statement could go three directions. One, we are even. You have paid for the exact amount of water you used. Number two, hooray! You used less water than expected. Here's a payback. Or number three, oh, here's a bill. You have used way more water than what you have paid monthly. Of course, I received the last one. I got a bill saying 550 euros. I was suddenly 550 euros in debt to my landlord. I'm sure you have all seen the movie Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. The scene where Ron Weasley gets this angry letter from his mom screaming at him and passing on a message of being disappointed. Yep, I was on the receiving end of such kind of letter. At least it felt like that. It was indeed a lesson on being more responsible for my use of water. So, what did I do to change it? That's the important question, right? So, first of all, I was showering on a daily, but instead of taking all of my showers at home, I was using the showers in the gym after my gym sessions. It made sense. Instead of just going home to my own shower, I used the ones in the gym. And automatically, money saved right here. And what did I do else? Yeah, I made sure to fill up my laundry bags completely before I used the washing machine. And if I had a single piece of clothes I really needed to be clean before I managed to fill up my laundry bag, I would simply just wash it by hand in my sink. That was an easy peasy one as well. And also, when I was brushing my teeth and cleaning my face in the morning and in the night, I would shut the water while I applied face gel and brushing my teeth instead of having the water running. Oh, and by the way, I also started to pay attention to how much water my toilet was leaking. You know, when the button is stuck somehow and the water keeps running on the inside of the toilet? That is such a huge water cost in the long run. So if your toilet does this, it will show up as an huge expense on your water bill in the end. So get it fixed, really. The habit I saved the most money on, are you ready? Was using a washing up bowl instead of cleaning my dishes in running water. It's literally minor changes I made in my daily life. And you know what happened in the end of the year? I was giving a payback of 550 euros. Cha-ching! And before you start questioning, how did I know that using a washing up bowl was the one saving me the most money? You see, when I started to relapse into my old habits with showering daily at home and starting the washing machine more often during the week, the washing bowl was the only change I stuck to 100%. And what happened by the end of the year? The end of the next year, the third year now. I still got a 400 euro payback. So even though it's fixed bills you cannot avoid paying for, your daily habits can reduce them a bit. Also, when it comes to electricity, it's the same. You can turn off the lights when you don't use them. It's simple and a long term saving. And the best thing about all these minor saving hacks, it helps the environment as well. But I do not recommend you to go crazy extreme like saving on the heating during winter. It can cause mold and moisture damages. Because I have been there myself and it's really not a good thing to start saving on the heating during the winter. So, story time once again. As I told, I was living with my brother and my chosen dad at some point, and my chosen dad, he's really, really good with money and he's so fucking stingy. And he is a former employed at the TV show Luxury Trap. He would work off screen, being the one sorting out all of the budgets to help the couples in the shows to save money. He was the guy doing all of the calculations off screens. He also had a side hustle helping people out of financial ruts. When I was living with him and my brother, he had this one rule saying, we do not turn the heat on until November the 1st. During October, we all froze our asses off, wearing big hoodies and several layers of socks inside. And my brother and I secretly turned up the heaters every time he wasn't home. And yeah, we simply just couldn't wait to November the 1st. And when the day finally arrived, the heaters was turned up from 1 till 2.5. Yay! What a difference. That's literally nothing still. And I need to feel warm. I need a core temperature at 37 degrees. I know I take showers as warm as hell, but still, a heater adjusted on level 2, 2.5, that's not enough. When I moved into my own flat the next winter, I wanted to save money as well. And I am stingy by nature, so I decided to keep his rule by not turning up the heaters until November the 1st. Unfortunately, I made a little bit of a twist to this rule because I also have a very competitive side. So I thought I can do it better than him. I will not be a bitch this winter. I will turn into a fucking ice queen and make it through all the cold months without any heating. I'll shut them all off and save a hell lot of money, I thought. As you might imagine already, I was wearing so many layers of clothes indoor, and I was sleeping with two dovets during the nights. And every time I was cooking my dinner, I was crumbling up in front of the warm, warm oven. And when Christmas Eve arrived, when we all gathered around the dinner table, I wanted to tell my chosen dad how hardcore I had been on saving money and shutting off all of my heating. When I told him I expected some kind of applause. He just looked at me like if I was a failure and a complete fuck up. In my chosen family, our love language is bullying, and I'm used to being picked on, and I was far from applause by this stupid decision. of surviving a winter without no heating. Honestly said, the whole family started to pick on me because of this decision. So I went straight home and turned up all of my heaters to maximum heat. I had lived on the North Pole for more than a month and I had to compensate by living in a tropical environment. It was one of the dumbest thing I have ever tried to save money on, and I had a terrible cough through it all. And I was also risking my healthy indoor environment. So please don't ever just do this during winter. Luckily, I did not get either mold or moisture damages, but it could have happened. And with the years, I have really learned that you can save yourself into so many problems. And saving myself into problems has been some kind of a personal mantra most of my life. Beside, I usually don't really see the problem when I start to create a habit where I save myself into problems. And if you thought the heating story was bad, I can make it even worse. So, you remember I told you how I did not have a dishwasher when I moved into my prior flat? So, yeah, the thing is, I did not have a dishwasher, but my workplace had a dishwasher. Do you know the feeling when you're working somewhere where they only pay you the bare minimum? So you start to upgrade your salary in other ways? Yeah, this is not my proudest moment, but I started to bring all of my dirty dishes to my workplace to use the dishwasher every single day. I lived less than 4 minutes away from my work. I packed up a whole fucking backpack and went straight to the staff kitchen and immediately filled the dishwasher with all of my dirty dishes, especially the forks. I really hate washing up forks. They are so fucking annoying to wash up by hand. I don't know if that's just me, but yeah, I don't know why I have this. Many people even asked me on my commuting to and from work why I had such a big backpack with me when I was living so close. And I told them the truth every time, and they just started laughing, thinking it was a joke. But it wasn't a joke. I did have dirty dishes in my bag. And this arrangement worked wonders. I was in my bodybuilding era and I used so many plastic boxes on a daily and shakers, and I really felt genius, especially because none of my colleagues they used the dishwasher, so no one questioned why all of my personal stuff was taking up all of the space. A year down the line, I was lucky enough to be headhunted for a new position in another company. And during the interview, I remember I told my potential new boss while I was sitting across of him that he should be aware that if he hired me, I would use the dishwasher for my personal dishes. And I remember that he was looking at me as a huge fucking question mark. He was just saying, if that's your only condition for saying yes to this job, you go, girl. And this boss is till this day even one of my best friends. This boss is till this day still one of my best friends, even though we don't work together anymore. He immediately passed the how weird can you handle test. And even though it might seem a little bit extreme, I did save money and time. But yeah, all good things do come to an end. And I did not have the energy to keep on going with this show, so I stopped eventually. Believe it or not, I have had quite a few of these ideas where I took saving money a bit too far. Maybe at some point I will make you all cringe and feel good about yourself by sharing a few more of these stories. But back to the main point, money. When you start to hyperventilate, cry, and panic about money, stop up and just for a second realize what you are doing. The thought pattern that are keeping you a hostage and a victim is not doing you any good. So take a deep breath and be ready to control the situation. You are in charge. And if it all feels very overwhelming so far, with both the savings and loans and debts, retirement savings, price tags, dreams and hopes for financial freedom, I don't have any of the answers. I just know that it's possible to change your direction and narrative. And the first step is to reach out for help, or at least take a look of your own reality and see how you spend your money. I keep on fucking up with spending too much money. And when I suddenly save money, I end up rewarding myself for saving money by buying something I didn't need. But I still manage to improve a tiny bit all the time, if not financially, then mentally about my finances. And if I should pass on a tiny little easy hack to try out, then it should be to make yourself a little jar to toss in actual money. I very rarely carry actual monies on me nowadays. I make all of my transaction with Apple Wallet. And if this is you as well, you should try to withdraw a small amount of money each month and put them in a jar. And then by the end of the year, see how much money you have saved and use them for something fun. Money is just a small digital number on a bank account now, but having a jar where you can see the amount actually growing does something to your brain. It feels good, and you are not as likely to use them as, again, it's annoying to carry around actual coins and notes. And with all of this said, I hope you have gained a bit of insight today. You are not alone. We all stumble and fall and trying to figure out how to handle money as we go. You have so many ways to empower yourself and your relationship regards money. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And until next time, stay safe. Reach out if you have anything you would like me to chat about, and bye.